Did you know that Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders are among the fastest growing groups in the United States? And their stories have been centuries in the making. Join me as we explore objects, many of which are rarely seen by the public, collected by the largest museum, education, and research center in the world, the Smithsonian Institution.
Whoa, what is that?
Together, we'll investigate the stories behind those objects and learn how these communities continue to shape U.S. history and culture. While immigrants from Asia and the Pacific had been recruited to work on plantations, in factories, and in fields throughout the Americas in the 19th and 20th centuries, they also faced discrimination from people who had a narrow vision of who belonged. This prejudice reached new heights following the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, when more than 120,000 people of Japanese ancestry were forcibly removed from their homes and relocated to concentration camps because they were considered enemy. 2/3 of those who were incarcerated were actually born in the United States.
Today, I'm meeting up with Dr. Sojin Kim, a curator with the Smithsonian Center for Folklife and Cultural Heritage, who specializes in Asian American history, culture, and immigration. Sojin is going to share an incredible story of resilience and serendipity that took place in one of these concentration camps in 1944. Hey Sojin, I got your email and I'm so excited to hear the rest of the story. It sounds, how should I put it, out of this world?
That's right. This is the story of Akio Ujihara and Yoshio Nishimoto, who were both two men of Japanese ancestry who, during World War II, are incarcerated in one of America's concentration camps. They're out in Topaz, Utah, and they, as you said, discovered something very out of this world. They, while on a rock hunting expedition as part of the Lapidary Club, which is the cutting, the polishing of rocks and gems, and they came upon a formation that was really unusual. They wondered about what it was, so Yoshio Nishimoto wrote a letter to the Smithsonian that ends up on the desk of the Associate Curator of Mineralogy and Petrology, and he looks at the sample and he hears about where it's found and he becomes very excited. And then through correspondence, further investigation, it was affirmed that in fact they had stumbled upon a meteorite.
Was their discovery a big deal and did it garner a lot of media attention?
From what I've seen, it does seem like there was a lot of attention and people were very interested and there was popular press coverage.
That's amazing. Why were Japanese Americans moved and imprisoned in Topaz? What's the historical significance of being in the interior of the country?
After the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, the U.S. became concerned about the security and defense of especially the western part of the U.S. But the war relocation administrated camps were all located further inland. They all shared in common that they were remote. They weren't near big populations of people. They were definitely not near any military bases. They were oftentimes, as with Topaz, these environments that were rather rugged and sort of undeveloped. And one of the things that happened in a lot of the camps was the building of infrastructure in some of these remote regions. There were a lot of different types of opportunities and classes that became available for the people who were in the camps during this time. They wanted to make sure that they could, quote, assimilate back into communities when they were released from the camps.
So it sounds to me like these two men felt a duty to gift this discovery to the country that had imprisoned them. Why is that?
Right, there seems like an irony there, right? Akio in one of his letters says something to the effect of like, in this time of war when there's so much conflict, I really do hope that by finding this can contribute in some way to a better world. So they definitely were motivated by an interest in this idea of learning.
So what happened to the meteorite?
The meteorite got moved through remarkable coordination of efforts from where it was found out in the desert to camp and then crated and put on a train to Washington, D.C., and it came to the Smithsonian where it was examined further and is now on display.
So it's here now?
It is here right now, yes, on display in the gallery.
That's amazing. The meteorite discovered by Akio Ujihara and Yoshio Nishimoto in Utah in 1944 was among the largest ever discovered in the United States. So just how big was it? Dr. Carrie Corrigan, a research geologist and curator of meteorites for the National Museum of Natural History, has the answer. And she's going to tell us just how significant their discovery was. So this is it.
Yep, this is it. This one right here in the middle.
Amazing. Can you tell me in layman's terms what exactly is a meteorite?
Sure, absolutely. So a meteorite is a piece of an asteroid that has intersected Earth's orbit and got sucked in by Earth's gravity and then came in as a shooting star. If you've ever seen a shooting star, it's that big bright light that is the outside of the rock burning up as it's coming through the Earth's atmosphere, and then it lands on the ground as a meteorite.
That was the best explanation I've ever gotten on a meteorite. How many meteorites does the Smithsonian collection have?
I think we have something around 30,000 individual meteorites in the museum.
Incredible. Is this the whole meteorite, or how many pieces of it do you have?
So we have this big piece, and it's big, right? You can see it's a big one. It was something like almost 1,200 pounds when it was all together in one piece. It's probably one of the top 10 largest meteorites in the United States, and I think it's the largest that has ever been found in the state of Utah.
Oh.
So I think the mass of all of the rest of the meteorites that have been found in Utah combined are still not as high as this one. So it's a big meteorite. And we have taken some pieces where we've sliced that up and sent it out to other museums, and we have some pieces back in the back that we use for research purposes.
Gotcha.
This is actually one of the only meteorites in the museum that you can touch, these few here that we have. And the other really cool fact about meteorites is that the vast majority of them are 4.5 billion years old. So the same age as the solar system, the same age as when the solar system was forming. Some of the meteorites in here, if you touch them, it's the oldest thing you'll ever touch.
So what's the significance of this particular meteorite? Is it just because it's big?
Well, the Drum Mountains meteorite was found in a unique way. It was a surprise to the curators that people that were out walking around, I think that was a really hit home to the curators here. And they knew at the time that these people had lost their homes and their jobs. And so they did their best to be as gracious as possible and communicated with the guys who found this meteorite, and were able to get it here to the museum and on display. And in the end, they gave pieces of the meteorite back to each of them.
So if you're in a lapidary class and you find something like this, that's a pretty huge deal.
Yeah, you've definitely scored big when you're out there looking for little pieces of things that you can polish up to look good, and you find a 1,200-pound meteorite, right?
The Drum Mountains meteorite was an extraterrestrial object discovered by two people who, at the time, were deemed enemy aliens by their own country.
Despite being imprisoned, Akio Ujihara and Yoshio Nishimoto had the presence of mind to point out that something was out of place in a Utah desert. Their resilience and loyalty to country played a role in helping to advance science for all of us. This story is just one of countless stories of inequity encountered by groups within the AAPI community, all of whom have faced their own unique experiences of discrimination. Recently, in an effort to bring these stories to light, several U.S. states have mandated that AAPI curriculums be taught in K-12 classrooms, including the history of Japanese incarceration during World War II.
How will learning about the difficult history of our past better inform our future?